The Canadian Agri-Food Policy Institute is driving bold policy solutions for a resilient Canadian agri-food system and building a stronger future for Canadian agriculture. Visit capi-icpa.com to discover how.
Sean Haney here with RealAgriculture.com and joined right now by the chair of Sask Wheat. It is Jake Leguee, farmer from Fillmore, Saskatchewan. Hey, Jake, how we doing?
Doing great, Sean.
Okay, there was Sask Wheat, Sask Crops, which is all the crop commissions in Saskatchewan working on the grains oilseed side, working together, and APAS put out a press release talking about the need for increased transparency when it comes to grain export reporting. What needs to happen here?
Well, I mean, we've been operating in Canada at a significant information asymmetry for a long time. They've rectified this in a lot of other countries. The United States is a good example, but it's also been done in the European Union. The grain companies have access to quite a bit of data because they're making the sales. As grain companies get larger and consolidate more, they're going to be able to grow that advantage. As farmers, we just don't know. We just don't know where our stuff is going until quite some time after, a month or more. And even then, we still lack a lot of detail that you would get if you were a farmer in the United States.
Yeah.
So that's something that they've dealt with for a long time down there, and it seems to be working quite well. Farmers have access to export sales reporting down there, and that helps them make better decisions. Better information, in all cases, should help us make better decisions. And that's what we believe will happen if we can enact some sort of an export sales reporting program. So we started on this several years ago. It was a long-standing request of farmers from all across Saskatchewan. So what we were trying to figure out is, okay, what would this look like and how would it actually work? So we commissioned a report by Mercantile Consulting with a variety of other crop commissions here in Saskatchewan, along with APAS, to have a good look at this and try to figure out what would be the benefits, how would it work, and then we can figure out what exactly it is that we're asking for.
Yeah. Now, like, look at this week. Yesterday, I get to work and I'm scanning through some of the the grain marketing sites and people I typically try to listen to. China buys 3 cargoes, right? It's like in the moment. It's real. It's transparency of data. We don't have that necessarily in Canada. So I see the upside here. What's the opposition to this? What is the pushback to having more transparency when it comes to export sales data?
Well, the pushback that we've received so far has come from the exporter side. They feel that it would impact their competitiveness, that would put too much information out there and could damage their ability to, be successful, I guess, in buying grain from farmers at the best price possible for them, which I understand. But at the same time, this is working in other countries. You have a lot of grain companies that are doing just fine in the United States and the European Union. So their concerns over this, I think, don't match reality from what we're seeing in other places, in other jurisdictions. So I think that we need to find a way forward so that we can figure out a system that works. Because like I said, we've seen it work elsewhere.
Yeah, we have the same thing when it comes to the beef industry. There's no published box beef price, for example, from Canada. We rely on the US number and extrapolate. And probably they're moving sort of tandem, but I again don't understand why we can't. Here's what the Canadian price was, and we're just professional extrapolators of US data. Do you think that there's momentum behind this request, Jake, or are you screaming into the void?
Well, it's always difficult to say. Farmers have been asking for this for a long time, but does that mean that our message is going to resonate? It's hard to say for sure. We know that the benefits are significant. The report that Mercantile helped us put together on this was showing about a $56.5 million benefit annually for producers. And we know that that's a very conservative number. That's really trying to model out what it would look like for a Saskatchewan farm versus a North Dakota farm and how they might be able to take advantage of better basis pricing. But that's really not looking at maybe you change your crop mix a little bit this year because you can see some sales that have gone through that kind of might have been a bit of a surprise to the market, but you can see it so much faster. So I think that there's tremendous benefits here. So the thing that we need to do is get that information out there, and whether we need a little bit of help from our governments, both federal and provincial, I don't know, but I guess our hope is that by getting a little bit more information out into the marketplace here, the grain companies will come around on this and see that this is something that the industry needs.
Jake, is there any opportunity to do an interim step where we do a pilot project on one of the crop types, or is that possible to kind of prove that, hey, we'll have an industry at the other side of this? This isn't like doomsday if we were to do this?
Well, that's a good point, Sean. I mean, pilot projects have worked in a lot of cases, like interswitching. We've done pilot projects on that. The trouble is converting that into a long-term actual change. We're still struggling with interswitching to see that actually happen.
Yeah.
So pilot projects are no guarantee that it will actually change over, but we're never against giving something a try and seeing how it works if that might help, make this transition actually happen.
Yeah, when Mercantile did their research, did they look across all crop types in Saskatchewan or just focusing on pulses, canola, and wheat?
Yeah, I mean, I guess what the ask is would be to have this type of reporting for all the major crops. So wheat, durum, barley, oats, canola, soybeans, corn, peas, lentils. Once you start getting into the really small crops, it probably does get a little bit more challenging, but on those major crops, it just makes sense.
Yeah. And we still see in the US example, we still see like destinations unknown, like and then some of those gaps are backfilled later, or a lot of times the assumption is that's actually China, and things like that. And I think your point is well taken in the sense that this isn't Canada recreating the wheel here. There are other jurisdictions, countries that we ship to and ship to us that have this. And so not exactly sure what the roadblock is and how, like, what is the argument that it reduces competition? Is it just that there's not a lot of players, therefore they'll each know each other's business? Like, what's the argument from that standpoint?
Sean, I tend to agree that I don't think the argument is very strong. We've gotten very firm resistance from that sector of the ag industry. The only thing I could say on that would be to talk to them and try to sort that out. We've been unable to really get good information on what exactly it is that they're objecting to, but it's been quite a hard no from them at this point.
Well, I got you, Jake. Harvest all wrapped up?
It is. Yep. We finished combining more than 3 weeks ago, early October, and we've been just going hard on trying to get as much fall work done as we can, because at this time of the year, you never know how long you're going to get, and there's always so much to do.
We're not too far from the snow, my friend. We're not too far from the snow. So, hey, Jake, I am sure that we will see each other several times through the winter meeting season. All the best to you, and look forward to chatting with you.
Sounds good. Thanks, Sean.